All right, so number 3. First, I would read the question. So, the Town Recreation Department ordered a total of 100 balls and bats for the summer baseball camp. Balls cost $4.50 each. Bats cost $20 each. Those are some cheap bats. Bats are usually way more expensive than nice bats are. And they spent $822. So how many of each item were ordered? And so I'm going to use X's and Y's because that's what I prefer, but you can use any variable you want. Because balls and bats both start with B, I'm going to use X and Y. So let's let X equal number of bats and let Y equal number of balls. Alright, so the first piece of information I have is that they ordered a total of 100 balls and bats. So we don't know. They could be all balls, 0 bats, 0 balls, 100 bats, half of each, 25, 75, 30, 70. But we know the number of bats plus number of balls is 100. So I'm going to write that down. The number of bats plus number of balls is, that's an equal sign, 100. Alright, the next piece of information, they tell us that balls cost $4.50 each and bats cost $20 each. So let's say I had 10 balls for baseball. We go 450 plus 450 plus 450 10 times. And let's say I had 20 bats, then I'd go plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 20 times. So the cost function, you take 450 times the number of balls. I made the balls variable be Y, so I'm going to put Y. I almost messed up there because I wrote these out of order, right? So it's $4.50 for each ball, and I said Y is balls, plus, that'd be and plus bats that cost 20 each, which would be 20, and I said bats, number of bats is X, and we spent $822. Alright, from there we need to solve the system, which is usually what you start off with. And looking at that, you could just type that into Desmos and it'll spit out the answer, or you could use elimination, or you could use substitution. I am going to use substitution, and so I need to decide if I want to solve for X, Y on the first equation or Y, X on the second. Now I'm not going to solve for this Y because it has 450 in front. I'm not going to solve for this X because it has 20 in front. So the only two that make sense is X or Y. I'm used to Y equals, so I'm going to solve for Y. I'm going to get Y by itself, which is very simple because you just take away X from both sides. So if I do minus X, I get Y is equal to 100 minus X. So now we have Y is 100 minus X, so we're going to substitute that into the other equation for Y. And now we get 450. And we know that the value of Y is 100 minus X. And then the rest stays the same. Okay, from there, I am going to take 450 and distribute it to 100. And I'll use a different color. When you multiply by 100, that just means move the decimal place over 2. So that's 450. Or you can use a calculator. And then 450 times x would be minus 450x. And then I could keep the 20x the same and the 822 the same. From there, I combine like terms. So equal sign 822 is by itself. Over here, I have 450 and 20. That's the same thing as 20 minus $4.50. That'd be $15.50. So now I get 450 minus $15.50 equals 822. From there, and all I did was copy it down again so I had more room. 450 and 822 are like terms. We need those on the same side, so I take away 450 from both sides. And I get negative 15.5x equals, let's see, 50 to get to 500, so 372. From there, I divide both sides by negative 15.5. And I get x, I guess I have to borrow some space, 372 divided by negative 15.5, and I get negative 24. So what does this mean? This means, in this word problem, if x is number of bats, that I received a negative number of bats, which means that I gave bats away, I guess. So what that means right now is I need to go back and find my error. So let's go. After looking back, negative 450 plus 20, that should be positive 15.5, which will change this to positive 15.5, which will change this to positive 15.5. So then I would divide by positive 15.5, and I get a positive 24 x's, which is bats. So I just found we're going to order 24 bats, because x is number of bats. I know the number of bats is 24. I'm going to go back and say 24 plus what is 100. So 24 plus what is 100 would be 76. So I'd say 76 balls. Okay. So I got 24 bats, 76 balls. It might be good to check your answer. So do those add up to 100? Yes. And then finally, 450 times number of, what was y? Number of balls. Balls were 450. So you take 450 times 76. And then bats, those were $20. And we just said we bought 24 bats. Let's see how much our purchase price is. $822, which is what they said, $822. So I know without a doubt I'm correct.